Hello and happy December! I'm filming this on December 1st, so I've got my Christmas pyjamas on, I've got the Christmas tree up, I've got a Christmas fireplace playing, but this is indeed my November wrap-up. So if you've not been here for a super speedy wrap-up before, this is going to be a good one because I have got 10 books somehow to wrap up within the month of November. I can't believe I read this many books. I'm so proud of myself because I'm trying to work towards 100 books read, and I think I am now 8 away at the time of filming this, so I'm nearly there. But I think the contributions of lockdown and just not really having as much that I had to do, because obviously the past few months I've been so busy with moving that reading hasn't exactly been the priority in my brain. So being able to have that freedom almost has allowed me to pick up a hell of a lot more books, and I'm so excited to share with you what they were. I've got quite a mix of ratings, but a lot of one specific genre that you'll start to see more of as I start to explain what these books are about. But if you are new to my super speedy style wrap-ups, basically I throw a book at myself, I tell you what it's about, why I enjoyed it, in the space of about 30 seconds, and then I move on to the next one. Point being is that I didn't really like filming wrap-ups before, but then I tried to make them super speedy and talk a million miles a minute, and it suddenly became more fun, and you guys seem to like them. So without further ado, let's jump into the books I read in the month of November. First up is The Cousins by Karen M. McManus. This one was sent to me by Penguin as an early review copy, and I really loved this. This is a YA thriller that's set within an island setting. It follows 3 cousins who basically don't know their grandmother. They're estranged from their grandmother because she's forced the family out, and therefore the family has kind of splintered. So these 3 cousins are brought together by a letter that's been written to them by their grandma inviting them to come to work on the island for the summer. So they go and try and find out what's happened. This book was really fun. It gave me goosebumps, which I think is really good in a thriller, and it was also very different from Karen M. McManus's other writing. This is her 4th book, and I think the only one that's not set within a school setting. We're in the summer holidays, so we still got that kind of age group about it, but I really enjoyed the pacing of this one because I felt it was a lot slower, but not in a slow way. Slow pacing, but not bad slow, like really good slow, like the suspense kind of slow that you want from a thriller. I really enjoyed this one. I would highly recommend it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Girl Who Reads on the Metro by Christine Ferret-Fleury. This is a French translation that follows a woman who reads on the metro on the way to work, and she also kind of people watches and observes different people around her as she takes her journey every day. Her life seems very repetitive and monotonous until she decides to just break her routine a little bit and comes across a weird little bookshop in which she gets caught into the ways in which they kind of give people the books that they feel they really need to read, and give people, deserving people, books to read at random times in their lives. It sounds a little bit like the Little Paris bookshop when I describe it like this. This started really beautiful and the writing was really lovely, and I loved how it was an observation novel of other people. However, about halfway through, the plot just kind of lost itself a little bit, and it didn't really have much of a plot, and I couldn't really tell you what it was about beyond the first 100 pages, so this one was a little disappointing. When I ran it through Core it came out as a 3 out of 5 star because I think of the beautiful writing. However, when I think about it now, it's probably more of like a 2.5, so a bit disappointed by this one, which is a shame because I've heard really good things about it. Then I read The Push by Claire McGowan. This was one I worked on an ad with Amazon Publishing with on my Instagram separately. I really enjoyed this one. This was a mystery in which there's 2 different time zones. One group with some women that are pregnant and about to have their babies, and then the other where they've had their babies, they're all at a party and somebody has died. And the question going through this is, who's died? Was it an accident? And if it wasn't, who did it? We're basically just jumping between these 2 time zones to get to know more about the characters and just work out what the hell has happened and what is going on. I quite enjoyed this one. I liked the mystery and the funness of it, and it did give me those goosebumps. As we say, it's good for a mystery. So I would recommend this one if you're looking for something quite fun and quick and easy to read. There was a lot of pregnancy talk, and I am not the most maternally minded person, so I was a bit like, but it was fun. It was something different. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read another mystery thriller. Are you guessing what the favourite genre is here? This is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I really love this one. This is 13 guests at a wedding on a very remote island. It's very grim, it's very rainy and wet, and they've all got different motives, and somebody is dead. We don't know who's dead for a long time as well, similar to The Push, and then it's all about like who's dead and who's done the killing, and we get a different narrative perspective each chapter going between all the guests. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. By the end, I could not put this down, and I just found it really gripping. The chapters got shorter and shorter to represent how quickly the pacing was going, and it just made me not want to stop reading. So it's no surprise that I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Left-Handed Booksellers of London by Garth Nix. This was my first Garth Nix book, and I hope it won't be my last because I absolutely loved the way that he wrote this book. It was so fun. It gave me Neil Gaiman-esque vibes. It follows a young girl who moves to London just before starting her degree, and she kind of gets caught up in this weird in-between fantasy realm in which some kind of fantasy creatures have come into our world in London, and she gets swept up with the left-handed and right-handed booksellers, left-handed being more spy-esque booksellers and the right-handed being more of the intellectuals. And it's this world that they operate in and have operated in for ages that kind of just keeps everyone safe without us even realising. I adored it. As I said, it's definitely got Neil Gaiman-esque weird vibes. It just felt whimsical and fun. Just like a really good adventure story that I would have really enjoyed as a kid. It's an adult fantasy, but I mean that kind of adventure story felt very true to the kind of books I read when I was younger as well, so I really loved this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next 2 books I worked on as part of ads over either on my Instagram blog or as part of a YouTube vlog. The first one is Ideal Angels by Robert Wellborn. This is an observational novel. It's very short and it follows a week-long relationship between a man, a woman and her phone. This really is an observational novel about the 21st century and how we as people on our phones become quite addicted to them and addicted to social media and sharing everything. I found it really interesting because it gave an insight to a world that we see every day, but yet it observed it in a different way as an outsider would, and I thought that was a really interesting way of looking at things. So I really liked this one and it definitely was quite powerful, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read M. Jonathan Lee's 337 or 377, and this is a flippable novel. You can read this either way. You can start at the front or you can start at the back. The first chapters are different and then you join in the middle. This is a mystery book about a young man trying to find out more about his mother, who ran away or just abandoned him or maybe died when he was younger. He doesn't know if she's even still alive, but he wants to know what's happened to her at the same time as rekindling a relationship with his dying grandma to try and piece together what's gone on to end up where he is. I really enjoyed the way this one made you think more at the end about the different hints you got throughout the book as to how the ending was going to go, and I can see why a lot of reviews say that you want to go back and reread this one to learn more from what you now know at the end. So this one was really good fun as well, and also got a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Magpie Society by Zoe Sugg and Amy McCulloch, another YA thriller. Are we sensing a theme? This one gave me serious Mallory Towers vibes purely for the sense that it was set in a boarding school in England, and I absolutely loved that setting. It felt like it had the spookiness but also the coziness of a boarding school. It was at times a little bit stereotypical. I'm not going to say the writing is anything phenomenal on this. It's pretty average writing, but the story itself is fun. It follows a young girl who moves from America to England to be joining this boarding school. She's got caught up in something in America, we don't know what it is, and then she's coming to a school where somebody has been found dead the previous school year, and it's always been assumed that it was a suicide or an accident, but now it's coming to light that there might in fact have been a murder, and there might be something similar being plotted / someone still at large that knows what happened, and there's a bit more to it involving a certain magpie society. I thought I wouldn't enjoy this one as much as I did. I'm surprised by the rating. I think because the writing was very meh, the story was still fun and the plot still kept me going, which was what enticed me to keep reading towards the end, the last 100 pages. So somehow on Corepile this came out as a 4 out of 5 stars, which I really didn't expect, but there we have it. Then we have got The Lord of the Rings and the Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the second in the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the third book of the Tolkien Along that I am hosting with Ashley from A Front Through Fiction. This one was fantastic. I loved it. It was slower towards the end, definitely, because we just had Frodo and Sam in the last part of the book. It's split into 2 books, so we follow the main plot, if what I consider, I mean the main plot should probably be Frodo and Sam, but we've got like Legolas, Aragorn, Gimli, and then we've got Merry and Pippin going in one book, and then Frodo and Sam and Gollum for the other one, which was slow, but not as slow as I thought it would be. I loved the whole Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli bits, and Merry and Pippin as well, with Treebeard and the Ents. I just really love reading these books. I love the films very, very much, and reading the books is holding up to every expectation I held, so I'm really, really enjoying it, and I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. The last book is absolutely minuscule, so yeah, this swayed me over to 10 books, and I'm counting it. This is How Should One Read a Book by Virginia Woolf, another book I worked on an ad with this month, but I really, really liked this one because as a concept, it's absolutely miniature, which is why I'm laughing, but as a concept, it's an essay from Virginia Woolf about how one should read a book, and it kind of talks about the different ways we can observe a book, and using judgment of others versus making our own judgments, and how important the ways we read a book are. For example, if we're reading a book to review, if we're reading a book for a friend, for enjoyment, the different ways we can go into a book. And I really like this as an observational essay. Again, very easy, very quick to read, and probably quite a good stocking filler as well. This one I gave 3 out of 5 stars because again, it was essay based, which is really hard to rate. It feels like I shouldn't be rating an essay based, but it was informative and I enjoyed it. So those are the books that I read in November. Hopefully you enjoyed this wrap up. Sorry if it was too speedy, but at the same time not sorry because you know what you clicked on, because you clicked a super speedy wrap up title. That is all of my books for November. I hope to read loads in December and hit over that 100 book mark, which would be amazing. I feel like I'm gonna do it. I think I've got 8 books left and I think I can do it. So fingers crossed. Let me know what you guys read in November, if you've read any of these or if you've enjoyed any of my recommendations. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can comment down below or you can subscribe. See more of my face on your feed. Okay, I feel like I can breathe now. Whew. Keep smiling, stay positive, and Merry Christmas.